So the last one is quite simple, but for some reason people don't do it.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, I hate this. Such a pet peeve of mine.
You've called people out quite a bit on this.
I've called people out because welcome back to the podcast. Hi.
Hi.
My name is Brandon
And my name is Linda.
and this is Loaf and Lift. Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed episode 1, where we introduced ourselves and talked a bit about our fitness journeys.
We hope to continue to improve this episode and future episodes as well. Make things better where we can. Work on lighting. Work on green screening. Some people actually thought that we were in the gym, which is pretty funny.
It is quite funny.
And it was kind of convincing looking back. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
not
but
bad.
can you imagine we set up a table and all of this stuff in
Yeah.
the gym?
Yeah,
in
and
the
then
middle
someone
of it,
starts walking in and working out. That'll be really,
in the background.
yeah. And they're just like, can we squeeze through here and like use that bench?
Mhm.
Yeah. All right, today's topic are going to be 2 topics. So we have the first one being common fitness myths, and the second is what not to do in the gym. So firstly, we're going to start with the common fitness myths. And the first myth we have is that lifting makes you bulky. What do you think about this?
I think it makes sense in a way. I guess for me, an example would be when you wanted me to do the chest flies.
Mm.
I thought, well, you said it works the chest, right?
Chest
It makes
flies.
you wider.
Mhm.
Well, men typically do it to like increase the size of their chest,
Yeah.
right? So when you asked me to do it, I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't want a wider chest.
Yeah. I think this all stems from the perception that people in the gym that are already big, if you see them doing a particular exercise like the chest fly, you automatically assume that that exercise is what got them to where they are,
Mhm.
which is like a cause and effect sort of relationship there. What isn't seen in that equation is how long it takes for this to actually occur, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not like where you do the chest fly once or twice a week and then you all of a sudden wake up the next day and you're bulky. You really have to work on these things for a long, long time. And that's where the myth gets dispelled, is that sure, lifting can make you bulky, but it's not the only thing that will make you bulky, and it's not going to happen overnight. And if you actually get to that point where you're bulky, there's a really obvious way to like just fix that.
What do you mean?
If you're too bulky, all you have to do is just stop going to the gym.
Okay.
And then you're ready, you go back down because
You're not maintaining the muscle.
you're not maintaining
Yeah.
the muscle, right? So, did you believe in this myth in the beginning before you started your fitness journey?
Yeah, I guess so, in a way. I guess this kind of leads into the other myths where you, like, with targeting muscles. Because I know when you talk to me about, like, what I want to work on, you do talk about the primary muscle groups and the secondary and, which exercise works out which muscle group. So I guess in a way, I avoided certain exercises because I was worried that it would build that muscle a lot
Yeah.
over time. So in a way, yes. But
Yeah. And it's not to say that it's bad to focus on specific muscle groups that you have a preference for or interest in developing. That's definitely doable and great. And with anything, you need to have that consistency and build on that week by week and months on months to really see the progress happen. Because a lot of times when you are working out and starting to work out, you may not see progress immediately, but that doesn't mean that nothing's happening under the hood. Within your body and within your brain, within your muscles, stuff is happening. So slowly but surely, guys, things will get better and better over time.
So all the times I've done abs,
Yeah.
even though I don't see any, It's there.
They're there. They're
Okay.
there. Mine are there.
Eventually they'll appear.
Yeah,
Okay.
eventually. Let's do the second myth. Give it to us.
Okay. All right. So the second one is you have to do cardio in order to lose fat.
This is something that I got internalized into me a long time ago. When I was a kid and I was a bit chubbier, I did a lot of cardio, mainly because I had swimming lessons and skating lessons. I did taekwondo, which is a lot of cardio and running and kicking and whatnot. And that is what really I thought was exercise. I think depending on how you got introduced to exercise, that can be a different perception. A lot of people start with the weightlifting, some people start with the cardio. I think that that's what led me to believe that cardio equals losing fat. What do you think? What was your initial thoughts on this?
I think I also thought the same. I guess when you first hear about, let's go to the gym, like cardio is kind of the first thing you think of in a way because of all the treadmills and ellipticals and whatnot. And that's like one of the easiest things you can do at the
Yeah,
gym. So I think in
that's
a way
true.
it makes sense that you would think that, oh, let me just hop on the treadmill, do some cardio, and then that would help me burn fat. But it's not fat that you're burning, it's the calories, right?
Right,
As you explained to me.
right. So, how we know it is that cardio helps you burn calories. And those calories can either come from the food you eat or from your energy storage, being fat. And yeah, you can lose fat by doing cardio, by actively burning that energy storage. But it's not the only way to do that. And it's probably not the primary way to do that. The primary way being to control your diet and control what you consume.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're in an energy deficit, meaning that you are using more energy than you consume or put into your body on a daily basis, thus causing your body to have to tap into those energy storages,
Like other energy
other energy
storage.
storages,
Yeah.
including your fat and partly your muscle. Um, and then that is how you burn fat. Your body takes it away from you to support the rest of your systems.
I guess that's why people talk about, what is it, like counting calories a lot too? Because you're burning, well, energy as in calories, right? Is what you're saying.
Yeah, and counting calories is a super effective way to manage your diet. However,
It's not the easiest
it's
to
not the
do.
easiest, especially when you live at home, which is something we'll talk about later,
Yeah.
or you don't cook for yourself, or maybe you like to cook things that aren't the easiest to add. Like, I don't know if my Asian friends can relate to me, but when you're cooking on a wok and you're like, you're in the motion, you're like adding the rice and you're cracking an egg and then you're adding a splash of soy sauce and a splash of like chili paste or something, and you don't know how many milliliters of that you've added, and you had a splash of oil, and now you're like, huh, how many calories is my fried rice? I don't know.
It's
And
hard to count.
I don't think most apps have a specific number for your fried rice. And so this is something that we should talk about in the future. Counting calories and managing your food intake
Yeah.
when you have a specific system like this or like a specific scenario like that.
But I guess overall, it's just you want to know what foods are good for you. I think that's the main point in terms of making sure you're having good eating habits. That's an
Yeah.
overall, way of
Overall health
yeah.
way, definitely what you put into your body is really important. Not only just the calories, but the micronutrients and the fiber and proteins and the quality of those proteins and fiber and whatnot.
Yeah.
Definitely important. Yeah. All right. Our next myth: more sweat equals better workout. What do you think? Working up a good sweat?
Yeah, I also think this makes sense because when you're, having a good workout, right, you're visibly sweating typically. So it's like, oh, I'm, putting up a sweat from doing this exercise. So it means I'm, working hard and doing a
Yeah.
good job.
Like if you don't break a sweat, you're not working hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
Is the idea.
Yeah.
My question to you, to these people that believe this, is what if I'm working super duper hard outdoors and it's like minus 10 degrees and all the sweat on my body just doesn't, my body just can't get to that temperature where I'm sweating because it's just too cold outside, but I'm still working super hard. Does that mean I'm not working hard enough?
Your sweat just freezes.
My sweat just freezes or like it just doesn't come out because my
Yeah.
body's too cold.
Yeah.
Because sweating is basically just the body's way to control its temperature, right?
Yeah.
You sweat, you perspire, and that sweat evaporates, and that causes a cooling effect on your body. It's kind of like when you jump out of the shower and you're all cold all of a sudden because all that water that's on you starts evaporating, and that evaporation system cools your body, cools the skin. So if this system is only meant to cool you down, it has nothing to do with really how hard you're working.
Doesn't equal the effort that you put in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And something about this is, for me at least, when I was a lot heavier, a lot bigger, had a lot more fat, my body temperature was a lot higher. Or I guess when I go to the gym, my body would get overheated very quickly.
Oh, like you got warm
I
very
got
easily.
really warm very
Yeah.
quickly. I would just step into the gym, and then after 5 minutes on the treadmill, I'll be sweating. And then I would sweat buckets. But nowadays, I don't sweat that much.
You're actually so cold, your body.
Yeah,
For the most part.
I've flipped 180. So I'm working at the same amount or more now than I was before in terms of effort. But you don't see that on me visibly. And I think that's what really helped me dispel this is like the personal experience. And I want to share that with you guys and kind of share that you don't have to break a huge sweat to actually get a good workout. And
Is that a common thing where if you're, I guess, at a higher weight, you are just warmer, like a warmer person in general?
definitely, because
You have a lot more
storage of fat
Yeah.
is insulating,
Right.
so it does make sense. Yeah.
Okay. That's good. And then in that case, then what would be other indicators that show that you are having a good workout?
Great question. One thing that I really like, and I think a lot of my friends enjoy, is DOMS, DOMS, or delayed onset muscle soreness. So what this acronym and what this concept is after a good workout at the gym, the next day, roughly
Feel
24
it.
hours, you really feel it. If you're doing squats and you worked your legs, you're going to feel shaky legs the next day. If you worked your chest, you're going to feel sore, even to the touch. If you touch it, it'll feel sore. And that onset of muscle soreness is a big indicator that you have caused some damage, localized damage to your muscle through the exercise in a controlled manner. And now your body is working to repair it. And that can lead to temporary sensation of pain or soreness or stiffness.
Yeah. Which can last for a couple days.
Depending
Or
on the
how
exercise.
fast your body recovers, I guess.
Like for you, which part of your muscle, which part of your body do you feel the most sore?
What do you mean? Like after?
After any particular exercise, where do you feel it the most usually?
I guess I want to say the biceps.
Biceps?
Yeah. If I do the cable biceps or the preacher curl.
You really feel it the next day?
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's a lot of my glute, my butt, also my chest. Those are the big exercises, big muscle groups that I feel it a lot, which is great. And like sometimes you don't feel it on every muscle group. Like for some people, they don't really feel it the next day. And that's fine too. There are other ways to kind of determine if you had a good workout. So that leads us to our next topic, or not topic, but next indication is the burning sensation during your exercise.
Or like after you do a set.
or like during the last few reps of a set
Oh, true. Yeah. When you're struggling
when you're
to finish
struggling
it.
and you're like feeling the burn and you're like, ha, I got, I do it. Do you like that feeling?
I don't know if I like it, but I know it's an indicator that, oh, I've done, for instance, like 8 reps and I want to hit 10 and the last 2 are just a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
So, you got to push harder to make it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that burning sensation kind of indicates that it's time to lock in and really work hard at those last few reps.
Yeah.
And that's something that you build as a skill. It's like sort of like a resilience to pain and perseverance.
Yeah, because usually you want to just stop there. It's like, oh no, I'm in
Yeah.
pain. Let me stop.
Yeah. But you can't stop there, guys. You got to keep going.
Yeah, you have it in you. You just have
Mhm.
to tap into that.
You have to tap into that inner powerhouse that I know everybody has.
Yeah. What's that term you? Reps in reserve? Is that what it is? Is that applicable to this?
Yeah, reps in reserve. It's like if you were to go all out 100%, how many reps would you be able to get at a certain exercise? And you want to get near your limit. So near 0 reps in reserve, meaning you would have, if you were able to do 10, even at your fullest effort, I want you to get around 9 to 10 reps. Depending on what your program says and how you program that for that particular week, you should be trying to go for somewhere between 7 to 10 reps if your 10 is your absolute max. But yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more in the future. It's a little bit more of a advanced topic.
Okay. In that case, we'll move on to the next myth. So the last one that we're going to talk about today is you can target fat loss on your body. So basically, you can reduce fat on a specific part of your body if you do an exercise that targets it.
Yeah, this one is it's widespread. Everybody thinks that's true, and everybody still thinks that's true, even though they know it's not. Even creators that have been around for a long time still push that narrative.
Because that's what people want to hear, right?
That's what people want to hear. Yeah, which is tragic because it's not how it is.
Yeah.
And
I guess the misconception is that you're not targeting fat loss, you're targeting the muscle through the exercise.
yes. So when you do an exercise, you're not using the fat on that part of the body to do the exercise. You're using the muscle and the bones and the tendons and the ligaments to actually perform that exercise, because there aren't particularly nerve connections to the fat on that body part, but there are nerve connections from your brain to the muscle and to the bones. So by that logic, there's no way for you to actually activate the fat on a particular part of your body to do an exercise. And if there's no activation there, then that means there's no room for growth, right? So because there's pathways through your nervous system to the muscle, we can target it and we can work on that and we can build upon it and make those connections stronger and break them down and then rebuild them stronger and stronger over time. But fat is not the same. So when we are targeting muscle growth in a particular body, that leads to more muscle and you're able to do that exercise more efficiently.
But the fat
will
might still be there.
fat might still be there,
Yeah.
yeah. Which you'll see a lot in people that are a higher body weight, but they are still able to lift a great amount because underneath all that is their muscle and the technique and the synapses in their brain that actually got them there.
Yeah. But I guess we kind of touched on this. Like, if you want to lose the fat, then it's based on your diet mainly.
It's
Being
based on
in a
your
calorie
diet.
deficit or energy deficit. Yeah.
And then supplementing that with your exercise and having a good way to sort of move the food that you eat into better parts of your body rather than just storage.
Yeah.
And everybody's body is different. Like we store our energy in different ways. Men, women, older, younger, whoever it is, even between people of same age group, same demographics.
That's why there's bodies of all shapes and sizes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are. And if you want to change your body, that's totally cool. And you have to realize that you can't just get the body type you want by doing a specific exercise. You have to slowly get there through other means.
As much as I wish that this isn't a myth.
Yeah, I wish so too.
Yeah.
But it is how it is.
Yeah. I guess in a way that means you have to think more holistically of how you do your workouts and what you eat, how much sleep you get. It's all tied in to this.
Yeah, and that holistic thinking will translate into sort of a holistic mindset and a holistic reaction from your body to reduce fat or gain muscle. It'll come all naturally through that. Yeah.
Yeah. So all my ab exercises I've been doing
Going back
means
to the ab exercises.
when will they come?
Holistic.
Okay.
Holistic.
All right.
All right. Glad we were able to dispel some myths today. Hope you guys enjoyed that section. We are now going to move into the second and final section. I guess not final, second section called What Not to Do When Starting Out in the Gym. When I started in the gym, I did so many mistakes because I was there and I didn't know what I was doing, and that can make you feel self-conscious or waste your time in the gym. So we're gonna give you some tips on what to not do and what to do when you're starting out.
You want to start us off?
Sure. So the first one we have here is that you should not neglect proper warm-ups and pacing. So what I mean by that is that you want to do a proper, safe, and effective warm-up so that you can best prepare yourself for your exercises and what you have planned for the day. What do you like to do for your warm-up?
I mean, I feel like I don't have a proper warm-up, to be honest.
Whoa.
I mean, I do a few stretches here and there, mainly my arms, swing my legs a bit if I'm going to do some squats that day. Am I doing something wrong?
You have a proper warm-up. I think you're not giving yourself enough credit here. For example, let's say you're going to do a squat. Run me through what you would do before you did your actual work set.
I would stretch my body, swing my legs around a bit just so they are warmed up. Stretch my arms to the side and above my head.
Great.
And then I set up my squat.
At what weight?
First, add no weight, just so I can do a few reps with just the bar. And then I'll add some weights close to the weight that I want to do for my sets.
But not quite?
No, not at that weight, a bit lower. And I would do, I guess, almost like a full set, like 10 or so. And then I'll add on the weights for the amount that I want to do that day. And then I'll do one or two. And then I take a break before starting the actual working set.
Yeah, see? We got it. There. You do have a proper warm-up.
I didn't do doing like one or two reps at the weight that you want to do before you called me out on it. Because before I just did, like, for example, 10 reps at a lower weight, and then I would just go into my set. And then I changed.
Yeah, good. Guys, you got to do a proper warm-up. It's better for your safety. And I guess what Linda outlined there is that your warm-up can look different depending on what type of exercise you're doing and how you're feeling. But the main core concepts there are to sort of stretch your body in a dynamic way. She's swinging her arms, swinging her legs, but she's not doing static stretches. So like holding a position that you would hold to increase flexibility would be something you want to avoid if you're going to do some lifting, because that would weaken the muscle and it might increase possibility of damage or injury. So dynamic movements is good. And if you're warming up for a squat, you probably want to do a squat, because what else is better to warm up what you're going to do than what you're actually going to do?
Mm-hmm.
But you should do it at a lower weight. She did it with just the bar. You can do it with just the body weight. You can do it by holding onto a rail or a table to lower the weight even further, right? And those are all good ways to warm up and ease into your workout, because I see a lot of people going into the gym and they just get onto the machine that they want and then they just start going
Doing a
all out,
set.
doing their
Mm-hmm.
full set. And that's what I used to do, and I thought that was efficient, but that really leads to worse outcomes, because you're not going to be able to lift as heavy and get the amount of reps that you usually can if you were warmed up.
Mm-hmm. I guess one thing you had recently told me that I didn't realize was if you did an exercise that focused on like your back, for example, and then your next exercise is also like, focused on your back, then you don't have to do like a full warm up where we describe
Mm,
like, oh, using a lower weight and then
mm,
doing the actual weight for a few reps. Because you're saying at that point you already warmed up. So there isn't really a need to
for
do
sure.
that.
For sure. When you do your first exercise after your warm up, you're pretty much warmed up. And if you're going to do another exercise that is very similar in muscle group, like you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
the back, and then doing another back exercise, then what you're really warming up is getting prepared to do the other exercise. Say you move from a row to a pull down.
Mm-hmm.
If you've been doing rows for your last 3 sets and then you move on to your pull downs, that's a totally different movement where you're moving vertically rather than horizontally. So you want to really, at that point, your warm up is meant more so that your body can get acclimatized to doing that vertical movement
Mm-hmm.
and getting the hand position correctly and moving the specific parts of your shoulders and your arms, rather than actually warming up the body itself.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's like when you, in a more exaggerated example, if you are running for the past 30 minutes and then you jump into the lake and you start swimming, you're going to need at least, I would say, at least 10 seconds to actually get familiarized with the proper form for swimming, because you've been running for the past 30 minutes and that's all your brain has been doing,
Mm-hmm.
and your brain is on autopilot mode. But then when you switch gears, now you have to readjust. And that's the same in the gym where you have to readjust. So
Mm-hmm.
give yourself some time to do that.
Okay.
Great. All right, let's go to the next topic. What is the next thing that we should not be doing when we start out in the gym?
So the next one that you should not do is lift the heaviest possible weights that you can.
That's a big no, especially when you're starting out and you want to try, you're motivated and you're ready and you're like, let's go straight to the top. Let's do what he's doing. Get those 50-pound dumbbells out.
You're gonna hurt yourself.
You're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to do that. I want you to start where you're comfortable. And for most people, actually, this tip is kind of self-explanatory. People are usually, well, there's some people that are the first scenario that I just outlined, where they're very motivated to try their best. And a lot of people are going to be hesitant and say, oh man, I don't think I can lift that at all.
Like they want to go, or they think they can only lift like a certain weight, but they can actually go higher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it actually goes both ways.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we can shift this and say, lift a weight that works best for you, right? Because for those people that are really ready to lift higher, or not ready but believe they're ready, maybe try doing a lower weight for a couple sessions. Maybe you can have a higher rep count. Maybe you can slow down the movement and see how that feels. Because really, your body doesn't know what number is on the bar or how many weights are on the bar specifically.
Mm-hmm.
All it knows it knows how much effort you're putting in and how much time you've put into that particular exercise, where it starts to get tired and they're like, okay, let's start sending some signals in that burning sensation to your body, to your brain, and to say, let's stop. and that's when you keep going. Um, so where I'm getting at with this is you don't need to lift heavy to gain really good results.
I think part of why this is a thing that people do where they just start off really high weight is probably maybe they're worried about what other people think of them when they're in the gym.
Mhm. That's true.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, they don't know if this is your first time going or if you're a pro at it or whatnot, but maybe they're like worried about what people think of them and they're like, oh no, I need to do a higher weight. There's people looking at me.
Mm. Or maybe they're going with a friend and you want to impress your friend, or that cute girl over there. Maybe she's like doesn't want to see you holding the 5 pound dumbbells when you're doing shoulders. And you rather do a 10 pound because that looks so much cooler. It's possible. It's true and
Yeah.
it's real.
Yeah.
People do that. And I guess something that would move into next is like comparing yourself to others. That there's no room in the gym to compare. It's only room for self-improvement.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's go to the third thing to not do, which is comparing yourself to others. Wow. Common thing that people say when we talk about this type of rhetoric is that you're only people in the gym are there for themselves. Everybody's there to work on themselves and nobody's looking at you. That's what the people say about life in general. Like nobody's really looking. People are so concerned about themselves and how they look and how they are perceived that at the end everybody's just worried about themselves. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I totally felt that way in the beginning. Going to the gym, not knowing what I'm doing, and, worried about what other people will, like, perceive me.
And that's totally fine. Like that's just how humans are, right? Like we are social beings, and the gym is a very social place where everything's out in the open and everybody can see what you're doing, and you're in a vulnerable state where you're like working hard and trying to, and people can see that, right? And you don't want to show weakness or something like that.
Yeah.
And something to think about is who are really the people that will judge you? Because there's people from all walks of life in the gym. There are going to be people that have been going for 10 plus years, and they understand that gymming and fitness is a journey and that it takes time and effort, and everybody starts from somewhere. So they will understand that maybe you're a beginner. Sure, they'll be very proud that they'll be very happy for you for going and actually putting in the effort. And then there are people that are just as new as you, and they're thinking, oh, that person's new too. They're putting in the effort. I'm gonna put in the effort. They're doing it wrong, but who am I to know what's right and what's wrong for each person?
Yeah.
And then there are people that are just on their phone or have their headphones in and they don't care at all.
Yeah.
And they might be looking at you, but really they're probably just staring in your direction. And they're like recovering from their set and they're just like, oh my gosh, that setup was so difficult. What am I going to eat for dinner? You know?
Yeah.
So
That's true. You don't know where people are at, and don't, take up headspace
yeah,
thinking about what other people are thinking of you.
keep that headspace for yourself.
Yeah.
Think about how my set went. Think about the rest of your workout and how that's going. Think about how you're going to get to your goals, because everybody's there for their own goals, and you have your plan and you set your plan in the beginning, and then you have to trust it, and you're going to the gym to execute your plan. Right? So don't let people get in the way of your plan, because that plan will get you to the goal that you want. And that'll show them. All right, let's go to the last thing to not do at the gym.
All right. So the last one is quite simple, but for some reason people don't do it. And that is, don't forget to wipe the machines that you've used, as well as the benches you've used.
Don't be that person. Yeah,
It still happens.
It happens
so often.
yeah, especially in places where it's very busy. I guess the only scenario where I would say that this doesn't apply is if you have your own gym and you work out on your own time. And if you want to keep your dumbbells that way, or and you think they're and you wash your hands before going to the gym at your own gym, then yeah, they're clean. I don't think they're that dirty. Like a little bit of sweat is not going to hurt anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But in a public space, you should be mindful of who's going to be using that equipment. You should be mindful of you're working up a sweat. If you're one of those people, totally cool. Maybe just a bit of quick wipe, you know? Or you can a lot of people put a towel on top of the benches before they do their exercise. And
Oh, they
that's,
do? Just
yeah,
to indicate that it's theirs? Or
partly, but also they know that they're a sweaty person or they're working up a sweat or they just want additional hygiene. So they will
mm-hmm.
put a bench or put a towel on top of the headrest of a bench or on the back side of it, and that will help it with hygiene. And if you're working in with somebody, then if they're done, you can wipe it down. It's fine. It only takes you like 10 seconds to wipe it down. It's all
Yeah,
good.
I
No
guess.
downsides.
Mm-hmm. And then I guess similarly to this point is also put your weights back.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. I hate this. Such a pet peeve of mine.
You've called people out quite a bit on this.
I've called people out because, especially in a gym like a small condo gym, sometimes if you just leave a 50-pound dumbbell in the middle of the floor, the next person coming in to do their exercise may not be able to lift that dumbbell,
Mm-hmm.
and they might want that space. So you have to respect other people's space. Then there's a dedicated place for a dumbbell, so put it there,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But I know everybody here will do that. So I'm not worried about you guys.
Or else he'll call you out on it.
But I'll call you out. All right. We hope you guys learned some tips and got a look into what fitness really is about.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna move on to our last section, which is a short Q&A. So we had a question from Jennifer on our Spotify, and she asks, "How do you incorporate healthy food habits when you are struggling with maintaining work-gym balance, and you also have to share a kitchen?" This is a tough question.
It is.
Thank you very much, Jennifer,
Good start.
for this question. And we wanted to tackle this question in two aspects. The first being work-gym balance, and the second being the incorporating healthy food habits while sharing a kitchen. So for the first aspect of your work-gym balance, I think a lot of working adults have this issue where they focus on work, they do their 9 to 5, whatever hours they are doing, they come home and they're tired, and they have to eat dinner, shower, maybe chores, maybe responsibilities with the family or partners or a dog.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden it's like 9 p.m. and you got to get up for work tomorrow. So what do you do?
When do you go to the
When
gym?
do you go? How do you find time?
Mm-hmm.
It's so difficult.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it might not be feasible to do it on that particular day. And that's when you have to ask yourself, what do you really look to gain from the gym? And what is your ultimate goal? And how much do you want that goal compared to wanting other things? If you think relaxing is the best for you, then relax. If you think that, you know, getting the work done and putting in an effort and you think you're not in the best space health-wise and you're not, then you'll want to do something about that, then put in the effort and make time in other days to do that. Maybe you can combine things like your socializing time with your friends. Maybe instead of going out for drinks or dinner, you can say, hey, let's go to the gym together.
Yeah.
Maybe we can work out while having a chat.
Yeah, or doing something active together.
Doing something
Yeah.
active. You can play pickleball. You can go play badminton together. Go for a walk together. Do
Mm-hmm.
something that gets you on your feet.
Yeah.
And that will help you kind of integrate life and socializing with working out
Mm-hmm.
and exercise.
Yeah.
Another thing that might help is to, I guess, tying in on that is making the gymming experience more enjoyable and more fun. When you have more fun, you want to do it more. And if it becomes something that really brings you joy and brings you happiness, then you'll want to do it and you'll make time for that. and it won't be energy sapping. It'll be actually more enriching and give you more energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like having gym buddies and having that chat is something that I find really enjoyable, and I'll actively go out of my way to get that, even though I could work out by myself and get it done. I'm considering it time that's sort of combinatory of what things that normal humans need.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that we have implemented for Linda would be something like a flexible program. Talk about a little bit about your flexible program.
Yeah, I guess for me, it's I have my gym days planned out in a sense that I know what I want to do for like day one, day two, day three, and day four. For instance, I go 4 days a week, but I don't indicate which days I actually go.
Mm.
So it's more so up to me to make sure dedicate the time to go to the gym, whether that's like Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Like it doesn't matter in a sense of what day of the week I go. It's more so that I have it scheduled to go and I know what I'm doing on those days. So this makes it easier for me at least to plan around that. It allows me to still like meet up with friends if I want to after a work day, or maybe if I'm tired on a particular day, I can just move the day over. Like it carries over. There's 7 days in the week, and I want to go 4 days out of that seven, so I will space it out in a way that works for me, and that allows me to have that balance.
Mm-hmm. That's a great tip for people who have variable work schedules. Maybe you're a person that doesn't work Monday to Friday. Maybe you work specific days and you're off on days that you're not called in or there's no shifts available, whatever it is. You could make your work program flexible like Linda's, and that way you know that if you hit your quota, then
Mm-hmm.
you will be good for the week. And if you do a little bit more, then that's fantastic. And if you're lagging behind a bit, then maybe you can program things to do to like catch up on that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Keep yourself accountable,
Yeah, it's
but don't
all
keep yourself so strict. Don't make it the end of the world if you miss a day.
yeah, it's all about planning and putting in the effort to go.
Mm-hmm. And if you are also short on time, one thing that is really impactful is to make each gym session more impactful. What we mean by that is to have, if you say only have enough time for 1 or 2 hours in a week, then really make those 1 or 2 hours count
Mm-hmm.
by doing full body workouts, doing higher intensity workouts. Consider, and then you can then consider all the time away from the gym as your valuable recovery time for those intense workouts. And that is a really good way to sort of squeeze in a lot of stuff and compress it. And that sort of work hard, play hard mentality where you may not have a lot of time for yourself, but the time that you do have for yourself and to work and put in the work is really, really efficient.
Mm-hmm. Or you go at the very odd hours of the day.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's difficult. That's
I
a difficult
know.
one. But I know people do that, and that I commend those people that actually put in the effort. I would say one thing to keep in mind is that might be difficult to do when you're a beginner,
Yeah.
especially waking up early or going really late.
Mm-hmm.
So just be careful and understand your limits and understand what you will enjoy and what you don't enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
So the next part about this is incorporating healthy food habits while sharing a kitchen. I think a lot of people nowadays have roommates or they live with their family, and we have people in our lives that love to cook, and we don't want to step over that, or maybe they cook for the whole family and you don't want to have that food go to waste. What do you think? How should someone like this navigate sharing a kitchen while also having healthy food habits?
Oh, it's a tough one.
It is a tough one.
Yeah.
Something that I would suggest is utilizing what I call modular eating. So this is where you would have your own foods that are on the healthier side, things like fresh veggies, fruits, salad, and you can meal prep these salads or, rice and veggies. And then you can add in a little bit of that home cooked meal or that shared meal that you had with your family member or roommate. And that can be adding a lot of taste and a lot of flavor to your food while also keeping in mind your macronutrient and your calorie restrictions or whatever plan you have. That way you get a balance of having whatever is made by for the group while also having your own food. And you can also do things like have a protein shake or maybe a protein bar or have set aside like a little bag of nuts, and that can be really filling and can help you get to the macronutrients that you need, like the amount of protein you need, while also not requiring too much cooking.
So basically have the foods that are healthy, readily available and accessible to you so you can have them when you need them.
Yeah, without having to like go into the kitchen. Maybe you just go run into the fridge. Like for you, you have like pre-cut fruits, and then you can put your fruits into bags. That way you can just grab and go, and it'll be really easy.
Yeah.
And then you get all your vitamins and get filled up by that.
Yeah. And I guess also meal prepping, right? That's something a lot of people do, I find, which is helpful to prepare for the week or, just have, like you said, something ready to go. And you can just, heat it up and you can just eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we don't want to, give you the basic answer of meal prepping, but really, it's really effective because it
Depending on your situation, right?
makes it a prescription, where you prescribe yourself a specific amount of food per meal or per day. So that's why it's so popular and that's why it works so well for so many people.
I guess it also works well because, like, if you know, like, the people that you're living with, their schedule and when they tend to be in the kitchen, then you can hopefully work around that and be in the kitchen when they're not. And then you can use that time to, cook things that you want to eat or foods that work for your diet or
Yeah. And you can also control your portions better because I know when I see a big plate of food, I like to finish that whole plate. So having smaller containers might be more effective for you, especially if you're, say, on the job and you only have a specific time for lunch. Then if you control your portions, then you're really setting yourself up for success in terms of controlling that portions and not going overboard. Does that make sense?
I think so. I mean, my container that I use for lunch is not the
Pretty
biggest.
small. I'm surprised. And
but it works for me.
yeah, so that's good. So hopefully that answers your question, and hopefully you get something from this. I hope. If you don't, let me know. We can talk about it more.
Please elaborate if you need to.
Yeah. So that does it for episode 2 of Loaf and Lift podcast. What do you guys think?
Let us know in the comments.
Give me a myth that you guys have believed, and how you came about dispelling that myth. Or just tell us which myth did you believe that you learned was not true today. That would really help us if you were to comment or like this video. That'd be great. Let us know what we can do better and let us know your thoughts. Very happy to have shared this with you guys today. Anything else you would like to say before we sign off?
You want to share what you're working on?
I'm still working on the shorts, guys. It's coming. I have seen the votes and I am very appreciative for those votes. So expect to see that shortly. No pun intended.
All right.
All right. Thanks, guys. See ya. Bye.